Okay, yeah, so so I'm involved with an organization called the Pachamama Alliance. We do work in two distinct but related areas. We work on conservation projects in the Amazon, and we work on indigenous rights projects in the Amazon region. And we do educational programs around the world, in the United States and around the world. And the educational programs are aimed at having people grapple with the interrelation between environmental sustainability, social justice, spiritual fulfillment issues for people. And at the end of our educational programs, we encourage everybody to join Citizens Climate Lobby. So it's an interesting thing. It's like, why would we do that? Why would a nonprofit organization that's trying to attract all these volunteers steer them over to another organization? And so I'll go back. So how we got engaged with climate change and it becoming an important part of the work we're doing. 20 years ago, when we started our work in the Amazon, we were told by the indigenous people that we were working with that it was wonderful we were there working on projects to conserve their land and culture, but if we really wanted to do the work that it was going to take to protect their lands and really to protect life on the planet for all of us, we needed to go back up in our part of the world and change the dream of the modern world, which they saw as a dream of competition, consumption, separation, sort of a basic malaise or a basic worldview that was not supportive of life on this planet. And so we developed a series of educational programs to work on that, recognizing that for us, environmental destruction, rainforest preservation issues, toxins in the environment, growing inequality were symptoms of something. And they were symptoms of a core worldview that needed to be looked at for we humans. And so we created these educational programs to really craft what we were saying is our goal was to foster and build a mutually enhancing human-earth relationship. And out of that, we saw that was the core that we needed to work on, and that the symptoms we would deal with the symptoms later, the symptoms being rainforest preservation or climate change at that point. Climate change was something that we saw sequentially. We need to work at the core, and then we can work on the symptoms. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, we were revising our programs, getting them updated, putting them online, and 4 or 5 years ago, there was a lot new information about what was going on around climate change, the real existential threat it is to human beings. And so we kind of were grappling with that, and we came across a quote that Henry Thoreau, attributed to Henry Thoreau, where he said, "Of what use is a fine house if you don't have a tolerable planet to put it on?" And like a bell went off. We're like, whoa. I mean, here we're working on building this mutually enhancing human-earth relationship, building the possibility of a fine house on this planet for all life. But if we weren't going to have a planet to put it on, if climate change was if we didn't deal with climate change, we weren't going to be able to achieve this beautiful house we were trying to build. So we realized we couldn't deal with it sequentially. Climate change is something that we needed to deal with in parallel with the basic. Our core work is still a deeply consciousness-raising work, but in parallel we have now working on climate change. And about this time, 4 or 5 years ago, CCL was just becoming really a major force, and we hooked up with CCL because of the phenomenal chapter network that CCL had, and we send our volunteers to CCL. The second part of that, how we see the world and that we keep working on climate change. I mean, obviously, climate change is a huge threat, and so it's not something that, having engaged with, we can disengage. And the threat is becoming more apparent. But also, what's happening is solutions to the threat are becoming more apparent. And so they're growing together and allows us to stay engaged. But there's another aspect of climate change that's really significant, I think, for us anyway. And that's that to really deal with climate change, this is an issue that is far more complex than humanity has ever had to deal with. We individually as human beings are going to have to become a different kind of human being. We're going to have to become a different kind of human being as a species collectively to deal with an issue that spans the globe, that the sources of it are far beyond our control, that it's a human society, a human species issue. And so I think it's going to require us to see ourselves, the responsibility for us as human beings in a way we've never seen before. It's going to require us to discover ourselves as a species in the evolutionary process in a way we've never seen before. And I'm inspired by a quote that Naomi Klein, the Canadian author and activist who wrote in her book, This Changes Everything, where she said, what if confronting the climate crisis is the best possibility we have to build the better world we all know is possible? And that's what I think, thank you. And that's what I think is the flip side of climate change and the way we deal with it. The front side of it is an existential threat, and the back side of the issue is that it's a huge opportunity for humanity. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I am, as you heard, Joan Rosenhauer. I'm with Catholic Relief Services, which is the